Well, welcome back, everyone. I am so excited. If you follow me on Instagram at all, or you look at my reviews, you know that I have raved and raved about The Faithful Dark. Um, and I am super excited that we are joined today by author Cate Baumer, who wrote this brilliant book. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me.
And who else has joined us?
This is Hallie. So, anyone who has the book, this is who the book is dedicated to. She has gotten in the way of every single step of this book existing. She's 21 years old,
Oh,
so she basically rules. She is the queen. I do
she's a
what she
grande
says.
dame, isn't she?
Mhm.
Oh, well, she's beautiful. Well, welcome, Hallie. How would you describe The Faithful Dark in just
Mhm.
a few sentences?
So, yeah, usually I pitch it to people as it's a gothic fantasy murder mystery set in a fantasy Vatican. If you like authors like Ava Reed or Hannah Witten and Caitlin Starling, it kind of sits in that horror fantasy space.
I did notice that it has a lot of ambiance to it.
hmm
So, what was your inspiration for the city of Silgard, where it takes place?
So I actually, I'm very much a details and atmosphere writer. I love really atmospheric worlds, so I tried very much to incorporate that in my own writing. I was an art history major, so, studying a lot of like architecture, especially cathedral architecture, religious architecture. Um, Being in cities like Prague and Budapest, that kind of Eastern European feel. So I tried to kind of incorporate little elements of all of that into Silgard.
Yeah, and I did notice you mentioned Budapest. I feel like a lot of the names have some of that Eastern European feel to them.
Yeah, so I'm actually Hungarian. My grandparents were immigrants. My Cate Baumer is actually a pen name. My actual name is incredibly Hungarian, like to the point
Oh,
where people who just see my name will come speak it to me. I don't speak it terribly well. Um, But yeah, a lot of the names in there I did take either from my family or just Hungarian names I like, because I just think they're kind of cool and you don't see them very much
right.
in fantasy.
And how do you pronounce them? Like, because
So
I,
the hardest ones for the main cast are Chila.
Sheila.
So that CS is a ch sound, and then Mihai. Uh, so,
Okay.
but I butcher everyone's fantasy names all the time. So
Well, I don't know if did you put something in the book about the
there is a
pronunciation? Okay,
pronunciation guide in the
I
front.
thought because for some reason that's how I was pronouncing it, and I think it was probably because of that. There's a lot of talk about faith and
hmm
sin, but one thing I noticed is that faith is more tangible in your
hmm
world. Like you can see things, like there's these stones, and like if something is evil or sinful, it shows. If it's not, it doesn't.
hmm
So does that mean that in your world, sin is a tangible thing that could be like cut out?
So there is like in the kind of metaphysical magic of the world, there is a very physical kind of component to sin in the act of having a soul that can be seen. And one of the original seeds, ma'am, one of the original seeds for the world building was that I thought that tension was going to be very interesting because I think a lot of times in fantasy you see either like a pantheon that is there with you, the gods are very present with like clerics and things like that, or you see a very like atheistic world where it's just all in the past, we don't do anything with that anymore. And I thought it was a really interesting tension in that it is present. There are artifacts, relics kind of that say that, there clearly is this divine presence. There was at one point this divine presence. And so you kind of have to have faith in it because you're seeing it. Yet at the same time, it's not really there. There is still that question of, well, why and how. So I just thought that was a really interesting kind of seed to start world building out of.
Yeah. So is faith really faith if
hmm
you can see it and touch it, as opposed to, because there's that famous scripture where it says faith is the um, hope of things not seen,
hmm
um, or the expectation of things that will be or could be. And so, but here, when you have things that are seen, is that
hmm
still faith, would you say?
So I would say in the way it is in the book, there is an element of faith because they're trying to maintain this connection to the divine that has been gone, and having faith that it still will have meaning.
Mhm.
And Sheila especially because she's the one who's completely cut out for it from it.
Mhm.
I think she demonstrates faith, but at the same time, it makes it very easy for that faith and kind of power to be twisted and used in a way of control, which is what you see the church doing, using that for their own ends.
Were you inspired by anything in particular in history?
So I did a lot of reading to kind of develop how the world religion kind of came to be, like the origin story in the book that readers will get. It was very much inspired by early Gnostic gospels that were cut out from, the canon Bible,
Okay.
because there's a lot of very, very strange and wonderful, I think, stories if you read them
Mhm.
about how humanity was created, how angels were created, like how everything came to be, that are very different than what we see in, modern Christian or Muslim or any of that theology.
Right.
So I kind of wanted to play with those really older ideas of how things came to be.
I really like that. It's so different from anything that's out there right now. Like in terms of like popular books, I haven't seen
Mhm.
anything like this, and
Yeah,
I love
it was quite a challenge to get this published, actually.
really.
It went through, so I got an agent
Mhm.
in 2020, and we went on submission. We were on submission for over a year, and no one bought it.
Oh.
And after another failed project, I ended up leaving that agent, and I said, oh, well, I'll just self-publish it. That's fine. So I self-published it, and then a month after I self-published it, an agent was in my DM saying, I think I can sell this. And I said, no, you can't. We already tried that. No, you can't. But you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome to try. And she ended up selling it. But again, we only had one offer. We got a lot of passes of, oh, we're really focused on romanticy. Oh,
Mhm.
this isn't really fitting the market, that kind of thing. So I was really happy my publisher saw a vision and, wanted to bring it to a wider audience.
And I feel like, I mean, just following you on Instagram, it feels like there's some traction. I mean, Goldsboro did a special edition of it. I mean,
Hmm.
that's
Yeah, we had two. There was Broken Binding did one and Goldsboro did one. So I've got two really gorgeous editions.
so. You mentioned Sheila and her seeking to be connected because she does not have a soul.
Hmm.
Why does she not have a soul? And is this something we'll find
This
out
is
more of?
something we explore in book two.
Okay,
In
okay.
book two, we get a lot more into that particular aspect of things.
Will we learn more about her background? Because Sheila was just found,
Hmm.
abandoned, right? So we know nothing of family background, how she showed up there. Will
Hmm.
that be explored in the second
Yeah,
book?
so we do find out more about, why this happened to her, why she kind of is who she is, why she is unique in this situation. So yeah, that does get explored.
So I did find it interesting with the way that there was an emphasis by the religious leaders on the soul and the goodness and
Hmm.
being that connection to the divine. It was interesting to me that she didn't have a soul, but yet they took her in and she became one of
Hmm.
the mercy because it could very easily have gone the other way where they said, this is an abomination. We have
Yeah,
to
let's
like,
just, yeah.
right. Was that ever a thought in your mind that it would go that way or
So, one of the things I really wanted to play with in this story, so I grew up, my father's family is very, very Catholic, and my mother's family is Methodist. And so I like to say I got all the Catholic guilt and the Protestant work ethic, and that kind of came out in this story.
I like it.
I've seen a lot of both the really good and bad sides, like the way that charity really does go out and help people and really can inspire, just huge acts of goodness,
Mhm.
and then the control, that can inspire the opposite. So I really wanted to play kind of with those tensions, to show that it's not just completely black and white. They can do these really good things, like take in this child that we think she might be something bad, but she's a baby, and we've got to show mercy.
Right.
And then on the other hand, some really bad stuff can happen too. So I thought that was a very interesting dichotomy to kind of explore.
I like that. Yeah, I grew up, my parents were Southern Baptist missionaries to
Oh,
Brazil.
wow. Yeah.
And so Brazil at the time in the 80s and
Hmm.
90s, very, very heavily Catholic. And
Hmm.
so one thing I've always said, because now my husband's an ordained Anglican minister, but
Oh.
I tell him, I said, one thing I think the Protestants do right is they do that God is personal. He's
Hmm.
personal, he's close,
Hmm.
but sometimes too personal, too close, and they
Yeah.
lose what the Catholics do really well is the mystery and reverence of God.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I think there needs to be a balance. God is
Right.
personal, but he's also God. And
Yes. Yes.
so, yeah, one of the things I was interested in is with Sheila,
Hmm.
because she is very kind, very gentle to a fault, to the
Hmm.
where she almost doesn't even think of herself when maybe she should. Is that sort of a way of you making a new warrior archetype? So instead of her being like some of our romanticy FMCs
Hmm.
who are, assassins or they're wielding swords or whatever, her superpower, so to speak, is her kindness.
Hmm.
Is that what you were going for, or did it just happen?
Yeah, that was kind of intentional. I think we've been kind of, what do you say, the archetype of strong female character has really just kind of been kind of pigeonholed into one thing. She's gonna have a dagger to the throat scene. She's gonna be snarky. She's gonna, do this and that. And that's not particularly me. I can't banter. I'm not very good at picking up things. Like I'm pretty relaxed most of the time. And I also really love heroines. Like, did you ever watch Sailor Moon?
I
Like
didn't.
Usagi is she's a crybaby and she's so kind, and but she could still save the world. Like I think there's a lot of room for different kinds of characters in fantasy. So I really kind of wanted to push against that and show that she doesn't have to pick up a sword to be, really strong. And sometimes, choosing to be good is really, really hard. It's a lot easier to say, well, I'm going to throw away my morals and just fight or whatever. But, I think there's a lot of value in, saying, I'm not going to let you change me. I'm going to do the right thing and be good. So,
And that's really interesting because with all three of our main characters,
mhm.
with Sheila, with Ilan, right?
Ilan, yeah.
And Mihai, they are all trying to do good, but it presents itself in three very different
Hmm.
ways. How hard was it writing such distinct characters?
So for me, I'm a character first writer. My characters come to me. So for me, that's actually the easiest part is the characters. I'm not, it takes a lot more revision to get things like the plot where I need it to be. But for me, the characters come really, really strongly, and I have a pretty good sense of who they are.
Mm.
But yeah, in this case, I thought it was actually really, really fun. People ask me, oh, is it like enemies to lovers or this and that? I'm like, it's more like ideological opposites who are on the same team, which maybe is not as catchy for marketing purposes, but, is probably more accurate.
Well, because there isn't really a lot of romance. I mean, at different times there's tension,
Hmm.
but then it was hard to tell, is it romantic tension or is it just tension?
Just
Like,
tension, tension. So, yeah, in book two, there is more romance that develops, but in book one, for me, especially as an author on the asexual spectrum, like I don't really relate when people are like, "Oh, but he's so hot," and then that becomes the spark that starts the relationship. I really like that, like the tension, the kind of learning to respect each other's point of view, the developing that kind of sense of who the other person is. That's a lot more interesting to me to develop character dynamics from.
and we do see that. Like, I
Hmm.
feel like all three of them go on a journey of understanding each other. Will we see much of Mihai in the next book? Without
So,
giving any spoilers,
without
just
giving any spoilers, one of my conversation partners at one of my tour stops actually put this in a really good way. So she's like, "Well, I mean, once resurrection and ghosts are on the table, you got to fire that Chekhov's gun." So, there's something.
Okay,
But
good.
I will not say exactly how or what. But as she said, once resurrection and spirits are on the table.
I found Elon very interesting
Hmm.
because I felt like he had light and dark almost equally balanced. He has this
Hmm.
strong faith, but
Hmm.
then he does terrible things, but he's also capable of such kindness. I mean, the minute he adopted the dog, I'm like, oh, well, he's a good person because,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah,
so
the dog likes him.
the dog
Clearly, dogs
likes
are
him.
not wrong.
No, no, I trust the dog before I trust the person. So,
You can definitely trust the dog more than Mihai. Like he's
right.
much more reliable.
So yeah, I found like were the characters inspired by other characters or other things, or did they just kind of burst into your mind?
For me, they were more just in my mind. I guess they are a lot of kind of archetypes and things that I like. Like what I like about Ilan is that yes, his darkness and his light all come from him from the same place. Like he has a very strict moral code. He holds himself to it very, very strictly. Um, and again, for him, not from what an outside person would think, like his actions are in line with his moral code, which is admirable in some
Mhm.
ways, even if, some of the actions taken are pretty terrible.
Right. Yeah. Um, yeah, because some of the things he does, and I'm like, hmm, all right. And Mihai, he was one that I wrestled with.
Hmm.
Like, was he good? Was he bad? Then there's all the twists at the end, and I
Hmm.
felt like when it ended, I had a certain idea in my mind, but I feel like there was a lot more going on with him and the things surrounding him. Was he purely selfish and wanting to help her with her desire to have a soul, or was he purely self-serving?
Without going into spoilers, he does, I think he wants to be more self-serving than he is. I think she makes him feel a bit guilty throughout the course of things. He does have his own agenda, but she's someone described her once as like this little prism of light who just makes everyone reflect a little bit more on themselves, and I think she definitely does that for him.
Yeah, she definitely does. I mean, I think she's a great character. I did not find her weak personally because I found that she was very strong at standing by her convictions and doing the right thing, even if it wasn't necessarily the best thing for her.
Hmm.
Um, and I think there, like you said earlier, there's some strength in that because we know there's a second book coming out.
Hmm.
Was it and it's a duology, right?
It is a duology, yeah.
And so when you went into writing this story, was it always in your mind that it was going to be two books, or did it just kind of grow?
So it really just kind of grew. I originally planned to write a standalone where the initial murder mystery was just kind of the end of it. But as I was writing it, I'm like, oh, well, I've got all this mythology, I've got all this other stuff going on in this other part of the Union. Why don't I use that? And so, then I started plotting out, okay, well, how can I continue the story? How can I kind of make it, cohesive? And I think I came up with some pretty cool ideas. And I'm like, okay, I can make a whole second book out of this. And so then it became a duology. And luckily, we were able to sell it as a duology because sometimes they want to wait until book one, to see what that does before they sign on for book two. But it was all approved. So,
That's wonderful. I like duologies because it's you get more than just like
hmm.
a one and done,
Hmm.
but you're not committing to like eight, nine, 10,
Yeah.
So
And you don't have to deal with, like, I feel like a lot of times trilogies have the soggy middle, where you're
yeah.
trying to get from, the start to the end. So
Hmm.
I think it was a lot easier on the author's side, a lot easier than trying to plot out a trilogy.
Right. So do we know when the second book is coming out, or where are you in that process?
So I am actually turning in my developmental edits probably next week. So my
Mm.
editor's already seen the manuscript. She's already given me notes. I've been working on it for the last couple months. It's gone a little slowly because I was releasing book one and
Mhm.
touring and things like that. Um, I feel like the date that's a placeholder in everything is April next year, but don't
Don't
quote
hold
me
us
on
to
that or
that.
anything. I don't,
Right.
things shift all the time.
And do you have a title yet? And if you do, can you release it or is that?
We do. I think it's actually one of the editions has it on the final page. It's called The Ruthless Light, and
Ooh.
I've even seen the cover for it. It is extremely cool. So,
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. That's so exciting. So we talked a little bit about how you're inspired because you were an art history major, and
mhm,
that really comes through, I think, in your depictions of Silgard. Will we, because we spent the whole book, we were in
mhm,
Silgard. We were at different parts, the cathedral,
mhm.
we were in different parts of town, but are we going to be back in Silgard in the second book? Are we going to be somewhere else?
Mhm.
Different places?
So yeah, book two is extremely open. We get to see a lot of the rest of the continent, which is really cool because Sheila has never seen anything in her life. So she gets a whole new world of experiences in book two.
And do we get introduced to new side characters or other additional main characters? Because we really had three main characters
Hmm.
and not that many side characters, really.
Yeah, so it's still, in that sense, it's still a fairly tight story. You do get to, there are new side characters, of course. Well, without kind of spoiling where the end of book one goes, since I don't know how many people have read it yet. But yes, there are new side characters, new locations, different aspects to the religion that are practiced in different parts of the continent. It is still a very tight character story, though. It's still mainly, still two point of views, still just Chila and Ilan's point of view.
And will we see the dog again?
You do actually see the dog. The dog
Yay.
does not go on the grand adventure, but I did make sure in the opening of book two we settled that the dog is good. The dog is having a happy life. The dog gets a name. Some people are like, why doesn't the dog get a name in book one? I'm like, the dog gets a name. Everything's good with the dog.
Okay, see, we can all be happy people. The dog
Yeah.
is fine.
That's what I tell people.
We
I'm like, okay, because I do get comments. I have the content warnings in the beginning, and there is animal death. And I'm
Mhm,
like, but pets will never die.
mhm.
There may be things that happen, and I'm very sorry for it. But yeah, once something is a pet, I will protect that pet. So
Yes, yes. Well, and I feel like some of the animal death, it happened like off the page. Like we,
off page,
right,
yeah.
we don't
That's the thing
see,
with when you're just making a list, a lot of times it sounds worse than it is in context.
right, yeah.
But I'm always happy, again, for any readers, if you ever want to know more context because you have a sensitivity around something, just slide into my DMs. I will spoil whatever you need to make you feel comfortable, or for you to say, nope, not for me. That's totally fine.
So you live somewhere very interesting.
Hmm.
Where do you live? I mean,
So
not,
I live in the mountains of North Carolina. I live kind of on top of a mountain. It's very, very rural. We only got internet fast enough for me to stream about 2 months ago.
oh wow.
It's been a game changer for my life.
How did that mountaintop living, I mean, that sounds gorgeous. Did that influence the ambiance of Silgard at all?
So I think it does put me in touch with a lot of kind of like the sensory atmosphere. Because when you live in the woods, basically, you're very attuned to like smells and damp and different kind of sensory things. Even though Silgard is obviously a city. The book I have on submission right now is actually it's a unicorn hunt book that's basically
Mm.
set entirely in the woods. And it was very much inspired by like the gorges and the mountains and waterfalls and things of this area around here. So I hope people will get to read that someday too.
And will that be coming out after the sequel to?
We have not sold that one yet. It's
Okay.
on submission with editors right now, so fingers
Okay.
crossed.
Of you really immersed us in it, like you were talking about. It is a very sensory book. Um, and was that by design?
Yeah, so that's something I really love in prose. I like to think maybe I I love purple prose personally. I'm like, just give me all the details. Just give me like huge paragraphs of nothing happening. Just describe things. Um, so I tried to include those kind of descriptions that I love in my work. Without going, there was a lot of copy editing, like, no, we really don't need to keep going. Just strike that. Like, but
And is that painful? Like when you write something and you really like what you put in, and they're like, no.
it is a little bit. With book two, actually, I'm having a lot of that. I will say my editor is brilliant. So I sent her the draft, and she's like, we need to cut the entire first act. Can you please delete like 25,000 words and rewrite them from act one and then a little bit at the end, she thought. And I was like, no, I did it. It's good. And then I read it. I'm like, it's not. It's really not. And so she was right on about that.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's really the best thing you can have in an editor, someone who's like, you can do better. Let's make this book better. And, just push you a little bit. And I think the end product is better for it, even if it's painful.
Right. Some books are just purely for entertainment, or you have a story in your head, but then other books feel like they're saying something. Was there a commentary on a subtle commentary on society, on religion, on faith?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I really want readers to come away from the book kind of thinking about their own relationship to maybe faith and morality. Even if it's to say, that's not something that, I'm particularly drawn to. Okay. Um, yeah, I don't write just for entertainment. I write because either I'm working something out for myself or there's something that I want to think about and kind of explore through story. And so, yeah, I think that came through in The Faithful Dark, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like that. I have some rapid fire lightning questions for you.
Right.
And the goal is just to say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Okay, if
Okay.
Silgard had a specific scent, what would it be?
Incense.
Oh. Which character was the hardest to say goodbye to at the end of the book? Just like you finish writing, you're moving on.
Oh, I Elon cracks me up. Like I actually think he's really funny. So I do. I miss when I'm done writing him.
Yeah, he was. I liked him. He says a lot when he doesn't say anything. I like that. What is one word to describe the cliffhanger at the end of the book without spoilers?
Hopefully, what's a word for like anticipatory? Like I want readers to read it and be like, oh, I can't wait to see what happens next. Gripping, maybe.
Gripping? Yeah, that's a good one. If you were a resident of Silgard, what do you think you would be? Would you be a priest? Would you be a mercy worker? Would you be an inquisitor?
Oh, being an no, I don't think I could. I'd like to think I would probably be with Sheila feeding the cats, honestly.
Yeah. So when you're writing a particularly dark scene, coffee or tea?
Coffee, all the coffee, all the time.
And are you like a lot of stuff in your coffee or black?
Black, just
Okay.
as black and bitter. Like I want my coffee to taste like coffee.
Um, which of our main trio, Sheila, Ilan, or Mihai, is the most likely to survive if they were plopped into a horror movie?
Oh, probably Elon. Like he would figure something out. Sheila might get away with like final girl status just by being, the innocent one who survives.
Maybe, yeah. What do you have a particular writing fuel song for when you were writing The Faithful Dark? And if so, what was it?
So I actually do have a whole playlist, and if you want after, I can send you the Spotify playlist is open. I used it as background music as my events, but yeah, there's a lot on there. I think a lot of some of it is kind of like the basic fantasy writer Hosier, Sleep Token, that kind of thing. But yeah, I can send that to you, and you can add it to the
Okay,
video if you want.
I sure will. Yeah, that sounds fun. Um, The golden statue of Arani, is that how you say
Mm-hmm.
it? Arani?
Aranya.
Is it divine or demonic?
So it is divine. It
Okay.
is part of that connection she has to the city.
Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much will the sequel make us cry when it comes out? Mhm.
I hope not. Maybe four.
Okay,
There's,
okay,
yeah, I don't think it's not a tearjerker.
okay.
I don't think. There's like kind of emotional scenes that will get you, but I don't know that people will cry. Maybe. There's a lot of emotion, but not quite the same beats. If
Okay.
you like to cry, I will plug my novella as Born to Rule the Storm. It has an incredibly high cry count. So
Okay.
many people cry reading that. So for anyone who likes to cry, that's the book of mine you should read.
Okay. I'm gonna come back to that. I have one more question. Do you have a favorite deleted scene that didn't make the cut?
Oh, there is one that it was when Sheila was like in the cathedral trying to find information to help her. And she had to hide under Ilan's bed because she was in his room like looking for stuff. And that was really funny. It was one of those like just kind of awkward, very awkward scenes. And there were more scenes with Ilan's mother in the original version, and she's
Oh.
also very funny. So
I liked her, and I thought her whole dynamic with him was really funny.
yeah, so you do see her more in book two as well. So I was happy to have more time with her.
Because this is like your first widely known book, in my mind I've been thinking, oh, it's her debut, but you've written other things. How much have you written?
Not, well, I've written a lot that has not been published. I've written two novellas that I self-published, and then this one was self-published and then got picked up.
Where could we find the rest of your writings? Are they
So they were both published through Amazon's KDP. They're both on KU, if you're a KU reader. So yeah, with Amazon.
What is one feeling or thought that you would want readers to carry with them? Like when they close the page and they finish The
Mhm.
Faithful Dark.
It's a dark world, but I don't want it to leave readers with a grim, dark feeling. I want them to feel like there is hope, that the characters are going to, do the right thing.
If you could book swap with Sheila,
Hmm.
what's one book from our world that you think she should read or that she would enjoy?
I think we would have very different book tastes. I think she would really like cozy fantasy. I would give her, what is it? Heather Fawcett's new one about the magical cat shelter. Like,
Oh, yes.
that's what she would want. Agnes Albert's magical cat shelter. I'm like, that's exactly what she would just be sitting there devouring.
Where can readers find you? And I'll be sure and I link to your website and your social media. But do you want to tell us?
Yeah, so the one I remember to update the most, so where you're most likely to find the correct information is probably Instagram. That's the one that I'm on the most. I'm also on Threads. I have a TikTok that I just repost my Instagram to because I haven't figured out that algorithm. So I'm just, if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then I do have a website, but yeah, Instagram is the most most likely to actually catch me there. So.
Kate, thank you so much. I know it's been so busy. I emailed you like a month ago and you were like, can we do it in March? It's so
Yeah, like
busy.
I was like, I'm sorry, I'm like touring, I'm all over the place, and then I'm, trying to get my book edits in my head and
Right. And I did want to say, like, I came across your book on Instagram. You were doing a giveaway.
oh yes, yes,
And
that was when I first got my books.
yes, and I didn't know anything about it. I looked and I read. I said, "Oh, that sounds interesting. I'll enter the giveaway." And I won, and you sent me this wonderful, there it is, Drew
Yes.
Halley. But and I read it. I think I started it just a couple of days after I got it in the mail and loved it. It was, I think, my first 5-star read of
Oh, that makes me so
2026.
happy.
Yeah, I wrote a whole review of it on my blog just as an encouragement for authors out there that who might think, well, I'm doing these giveaways. Is it worth it? Sure, you might give some books away and not see anything, but others like I
Yeah.
went out and bought a second one. We
I
were
know.
talking about it.
I was so surprised. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I went out and bought a second one because I wanted to have the sprayed edges, but then
Mhm.
this one came from Kate herself, so it's like extra special. But thank you. You're delightful. I can't wait to see your next book. I loved it. So I think thank you, Kate, for sharing your gifts with the world. I mean,
Oh,
it's an
thank you
amazing
so
book.
much.
So thank you, and we will see you again. And happy reading, everyone.
All right, thanks. Bye.